Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, I would like to thank first the organizers and sponsors of this magnificent event for inviting me here to present a very important issue. So we heard a lot about challenges. The word challenge comes a lot. And I will here talk about another type of challenge which we face here, and I have chosen the Arctic region as it's one of the most fragile areas in the world, and developments there have the potential to influence the entire planet. So in this geometry of the Arctic Circle, to call it like that, I would like to provide a short overview which examines the intersection of climate change, maritime transport, geopolitics, and governance. So we all know that climate change has led to the global warming, which has caused the melting of the northern ice cap. While this has impacted ecosystems and human life in the Arctic region, it has also opened up previously impassable routes for maritime transport during the summer months. Among these routes, the Northwest Passage, which connects the Atlantic with the Pacific Ocean via Canada Arctic archipelago, has become more navigable. There is also the emerging transpolar Arctic route. However, the most significant of these and the most attractive is the Northeast Passage, particularly its part known as the Northern Sea Route, or NSR. It stretches 5.6 thousand kilometers and is now the shortest shipping route between Northern Europe and Asia. This reduces the distance between Northern Europe and Northern China by up to 4,000 nautical miles and cuts shipping times by up to 2 weeks. Given that the route is now ice-free for 3 months over the year, and it's rising, it's no surprise that in 2022, almost 3,000 voyages were made by 314 vessels. In 2023, cargo volume along the NSR reached historical height of over 36,000 million tons, with a record-breaking transit traffic. Strong demand for Russian crude oil in China fueled this surge, as more than a dozen shipments totaling 1.5 million tons traveled from the Baltic Sea to China through the Arctic. Projections for this year suggest that another record year for the Arctic transit. However, this route is contentious. While the US and its allies would like it to be an international passage, Russia claims sovereignty, viewing it as a national transport corridor. Nevertheless, despite US opposition, Russia's legal regime for the NSR navigation is widely recognized, especially by China, which is keen to tap into the route's potential and position itself as a great polar power. This situation has heightened tensions in the West, particularly in the US, as it articulated in the 2021 US Army document called Regaining Arctic Dominance, which clearly states the Arctic has the potential to become a contested space where US great power rivals, Russia and China, seek to use military and economic power to gain and maintain access to the region at the expense of the US interests. It emphasized further the need for the US Army to organize to win in the Arctic, framing the region as an arena of competition, a line of attack in conflict, and a platform for global power projection. Things worsened following Russia's full-scale war in Ukraine in early 2022, which led to a near halt in cooperation within the Arctic Council. This is the key forum for managing regional issues under the international law, prompting many to question now the Council's future. With the West isolating Russia from Arctic cooperation due to war in Ukraine, Moscow has turned to countries like China, India, and Turkey, seeking partnerships for developing its high north. China, in particular, has taken advantage of this shift. Seizing the opportunity, Beijing has significantly increased its presence, registering more than 230 firms in the Russian Arctic between January 22 and June 23. This is an 87% increase from the previous 2 years. Moreover, China has begun constructing its own ports, docks, in critical Russian Arctic ports and establishing railways along the coastline, signaling its intent to expand further. This increasing presence of non-Arctic actors has alarmed Washington, especially after encounters between US Coast Guard ships and joint Chinese-Russian naval formations near Alaska 2 years ago. With joint military exercise now becoming more frequent, the most recent one was earlier this month, concerns are deepening. While US policymakers reiterated their earlier stance in the 2024 Department of Defense Arctic strategy, in the meantime, China military diplomats and literature have begun to refer the Arctic as a zone of future military competition and even the commanding heights of the next geopolitical struggle. Finland and Sweden NATO membership, along with Russia pivot to new partners, is further polarizing the region, which once relied on the Arctic Council to resolve this dispute peacefully. As geopolitics and militarization dominate the conversation, crucial issues like tackling the climate change and preserving regional ecosystem are unfortunately put to the sidelines. Moreover, the emergence of so-called shadow fleets due to Western sanctions of Russia further complicates the matter, as many experts suspect that these fleets may operate outside International Maritime Organization guidelines, likely violating the Polar Code or even Russia's own high environmental and safety standards. This breakdown in environmental cooperation suggests that the concept of one Arctic is fracturing, raising the possibility of parallel governance structures emerging instead of the Arctic Council. So, considering this, the question appears, can this process be reversed? Is there a viable and unified governance solution that includes the growing number of interested actors? Well, one possibility lies in the involvement of countries like India and Turkey, which have already proven themselves as effective geopolitical catalysts on several occasions. India, with observer status in the Arctic Council and close ties with both Russia and the West, and Turkey, as a long-standing NATO member and a recent BRICS aspirant, are both eager to engage in efforts to end the war in Ukraine. Given their interest in contributing to Arctic development as well, they could potentially help bridge the gap between competing interests. Alternatively, a more robust solution may involve elevating this issue to the United Nations. However, with the UN Security Council stalled on critical global issues from Ukraine to outer space, effective Arctic governance seems increasingly unlikely unless UN undergoes reform. Dissatisfaction with the existing UN system has already been expressed by countries like Germany and Finland, Turkey, along with emerging powers such as India and Brazil, which called for a more inclusive and representative international system to address the growing complexities of global challenges. This could potentially be initiated through Article 109, paragraph 3 of the UN Charter, allowing states to reconsider the global governance structure and address not just the Arctic geopolitics, but also other pressing challenges such as climate change, armed conflicts, governance of AI, and more. Without such reform, the global system may fragment, leading to a multipolarity in its most negative form, with competing blocs failing to address universal problems that require unified solutions, leaving most critical issues unresolved and casting uncertainty over humanity's future. However, if reform efforts succeed, many of these issues could be addressed, including the challenges posed by climate change, facilitating a timely transition to net zero. Thank you.